Hi everyone, welcome to part 3, the last part of my video collaboration with Liz over at Liz at Home. If you haven't seen the first 2, I will link them up at the top here so that you can check those out first, and it will explain more about what this project is all about. But basically, in a nutshell, we're here to encourage you that no one's style is wrong, everybody's different, and that's okay. That's one of the great things about art. So I have not seen her third video yet as of recording this, and she hasn't seen mine. We are dropping them on the same day. So we just have a few things left to finish on this page, just some skin and some hair and some little doodads. So we're going to get started, but just a disclaimer first, I'm going to do the skin on this fairy right now, and I am by no means at all an expert in skin. In fact, it's my least favorite thing to do because it's so tricky. So if you have a favorite way to do skin and hair too, because that's one of my next least favorite things to do, but if you have your own favorite way to do it, please feel free to do that and don't copy mine. But if you've never done skin before and don't mind beginner skin, by all means, feel free to follow along. So this is just to make some very basic shadows in the very darkest spots. And yeah, especially you'll see when I get to the nose, especially on these types of illustrations where there's no lines, I'm really not sure what I'm doing. I'm just doing the best I can right there, but it turns out all right, but I have a lot of things left to learn. But so now we're just deepening up that color with the 1092. Got a little bit too much, so I had to erase it. Yeah, just your basic shading. Try to do the tops of the arms a little more tan than the bottoms of the arms, and just make some shadows here. Deepening up the under the hair, and then this is the next layer, this 939. Only one more to go after this, and we might come back, I can't remember, darken it up a little bit, but we'll have to see after it all gets blended together on the next layer. But so here's the last layer. This kind of goes over everything and blends it all together. And then you'll notice I had a little bit of blue flecks. I forgot to brush it off. So I didn't see them before I put that last layer on there, so there's a few. So just learn from my mistakes. I tried to erase the blue, it didn't really work, but I think overall it'll be hidden enough that I'm not going to worry about it. Just a little bit of shadow between the hand and the cheek. And now we're outlining the leaves behind the wings, because originally I wasn't sure if I wanted to color these solid or try to make them transparent. So I've decided by now we're going to go transparent. And my goal was to use the lines that are drawn into them and make those kind of like ribs or a little bit more solid as part of the structure of the wing. So I left some white around them. You'll see when I get to the end, I'm just using the same sky colors and just making them a little, just very light. I'm going to go over them with white in a second, and it doesn't work terribly well, so I'm going to go over and darken up that ribbed part. So if you wanted to do that right from the beginning, you can. And this pink is my attempt to make some iridescence in the wings, maybe reflecting off the flowers. It didn't really work either, but it didn't hurt anything, so I just left it. So it turned out a little darker than I originally intended, but it's fine. And now I'm starting to fill in a little bit of those ridges that like I said, I was trying to leave them white, but I'm filling them in now. Okay, moving on to hair, just some shadows. I don't love this color, this 997, so in a little bit I'm going to add a little bit more golden hues. That's fine, I just don't love it. First I got to fix those little wispies that I forgot the first time around. Okay, now I'm adding some of the gold highlights I mentioned, not all over, just in the highlighted parts. And in a second you'll see me going back over a little bit of it with a darker color at a, I'm holding it much farther back on the pencil than I am right now, and at a much different angle, because here I'm just adding some shadows, but I'll tell you where I'm talking about in just a second. Because I wanted just a teeny tiny little bit of color to knock down the highlight. So right here, see, yeah, you can't even see my fingers at the moment, and I'm almost laying the pencil flat. But right here, I hold much closer to the tip and get it much more upright, because I needed to be real precise around that flower. So those are just a couple of different techniques in actually holding the pencil that give you a little bit more control depending on what you want. Now I want the bow white, but I need just a tiny, tiny bit of shadow. So I'm going to go over it now with white and kind of smudge that out. So it still mostly looks white. It just needed a little bit of dimension. I probably could have done a little bit more dimension on the piping around the sleeves, but I didn't, and it's fine. Sorry, I did a little bit of that brown off camera, but I went over it again just to show you what I did. I want a mixture of browns and greens here, so I'm going to go back and forth with some light layers until I get mostly what I want. And then when I get it mostly what I want, you'll see in just a couple seconds, I'm going to go harder in with the green right here, just to kind of solidify everything together. I think I will have one more shadowy layer of green, but not until I do this mossy stuff around the edge. I don't exactly know what I want there, so I'm just playing with a mixture of the greens we've already used. I want the part around the rim to be darker, and then the little mossy stuff that hangs over the top to be lighter. So by the time I get to the front of this little nest thing, will be just like two colors, or two or three on the rim, but two colors on the hanging mossy part. I don't know what to call that. So there you go, just a little bit of shadow around that edge. So 109 just to get in the shadows, the crevices, just for some contrast. Very imprecise here though, just kind of wherever you think a shadow might be. That's what I did with the lighter stuff around the edges. Then I used 105 and went over all of the rest of the bits, the white bits in that little section. And that's it now for those hangy sections. And then I'm going to play with this. I want this part darker, so I'm just trying to make a little bit of contrast between the two types of greenery around the front. Exactly the same. 109 for the crevices, for the shadows, and then 1005 line peel over the top of this, and then do those other two sections exactly the same. So I'm not going to show those because they were the same as this one. Okay, so 993 is just on the inside and under the shadow of the petals. And then we'll use 1014 on over the top of that and almost to the edge, but leave a little bit of white so that it stands out against. There's some other spots of the page that is on pink, so these need to stand out just a little bit. And you have to decide. You see some little bits of blue that hung over from the sky. you kind of just got to either live with those or try to erase them, but they don't really show up too much. If I didn't have this gold metallic, I would have just used a yellowy orange color, and this Jelly Roll Pink is the base layer for these little bits, and then this is another metallic ink ink pen. If I didn't have this, I would have done this probably another yellowy orange. And both of the centers of those flowers I just pulled from the yellows and oranges that are already on the page. If you wanted to use just pencils, I mean, that's usually what I do, but these bits were so small I wanted to stand out a little bit. And I don't mind a little bit of glitter every now and then. And then I ended up doing the second wing a little bit off camera, but it's the same as the first, so I'm not going to show it. I'll show you the finished product. Then this last little bit. And we are done after this little doodad. And there you have it. There is my finished page. I am so thankful to Liz at Home for doing this project with me. I had so much fun. She is delightful, and it was lovely getting to know her as we chatted about our project. Even though we weren't showing each other our progress, we did get to know each other a little bit more, and I'm very grateful for that. And I can't wait to see her video and her page. I know it's going to be lovely. So, I think for me, this project accomplished what we set out to do. I hope it did for you too. And that is ultimately just to encourage you that no style of coloring is wrong. If it brings you happiness and you are enjoying the process or enjoying the finished product, then that's the win. That is, there's no one you need to compete with. If you like to try new things and always challenge yourself, that's awesome. Do that. But if you want to just do what you know and be comfortable, that is perfectly okay too. And sometimes a mixture of the two. So I stuck with what made me comfortable. And the thing I did learn is when I first was planning this page, knowing Liz's style and her ability to use so many paints and different color Posca pens and all of these beautiful materials, I was a little intimidated, and I was planning out like how I could do the bird in because I do have some colored Poscas, and I tried dozens of combinations of the ones that I had, and I didn't like any of them. And so I just all of a sudden realized though was defeating the purpose of this project and showing that each of us has our own style, and that's how it should be. So ultimately I stuck with what I know, and that's pencils, and I love the way my page turned out. It makes me happy. It's bright summery colors with a little bit of sparkle that sometimes I use sparkle and a lot of times I don't, and I just love it. It will always remind me of Liz and the fun I had on this project. So if you haven't checked out her videos yet, I would encourage you to do so. I will link her channel down below. And if you haven't seen the first two of the videos, again, I will link the playlist at the end here on the left of the screen. And if anybody else wants to ever do something like this with me, let me know. And that's how I came to do this project with her, is she said the same thing at the end of her video. So also, if you would like any further tutorials from me, I love to do them. I'm still learning what my style is for them. I'm not sure the style of these 3 videos is ultimately what I would do every time, but let me know what kind of tutorials you like. I'm a very basic colorist who doesn't use a ton of materials, so but if you like lots of commentary and real-time action, I can do that. If you like no chat and just sped up set to music, I can do that too. I'm still not sure what my style is for tutorials, but I'd like to experiment. So if you have a favorite, let me know, and maybe I'll try some different things. So I think that's it for me. Thanks for hanging out with us, and I hope you are having a lovely coloring day. See you all later.